Welcome to EnigmaCast, nerds, my inaugural Florida recording. And for this, I had to bring in my boy over here on this side.
That's right. Sasquatch Steve in the house.
Sasquatch Steve Taylor from the house. The best looking one-eyed Bigfoot researcher out of North New Jersey. Almost, I don't want to go on record saying this because I haven't been there in a while, maybe the only one-eyed Bigfoot researcher out of New Jersey. However, when he's not up in the woods in New Jersey, he's chasing girls out of Fort Lauderdale and not letting me know he was in town. But to be fair, I snuck down here and didn't tell him I was moving either as a kind of a surprise. He stole my thunder. Anyway, Steve.
What's up?
What's good, bro? What are you into, man? How you been? I haven't talked to you in about 4 weeks.
I've been good. Like I said, or like you just said, I was down in Fort Lauderdale, got nice and burnt, but I recovered and I'm good to go.
White boy curse. I know. I have to feel
That's
him.
right.
I'm going to
And
break
it's tough
it.
because I can't always see where I'm putting the sunscreen, so it's it's a little difficult.
Not me, man. I've just been raw dogging it. No sunscreen for me. I'm going to adapt. I'm a Floridian. I got to get into it. Anyways.
That's right.
So welcome to EnigmaCast, nerds. Tonight I bring Steve on for only the scary, unexplained Bigfoot fiduciary. And this has been something that I've been looking to get into for a while. And it was on my notes, but it got buried with a lot of other stuff getting into. Tonight, everybody, we're going to be talking about the Sierra Sounds incident, also known as the Sasquatch Sierra Sound incident. So if it's your first time joining us here, how we normally does it is that I will send this nerd over here a topic. He'll go do his research. I'll do my research. We won't speak about it until we get on here, and we'll lay it down as we go. We'll give you the who, the what, the when, the where, the whys. And at the very end, we'll tell you what we think about it. Spoiler alert, it's not always what you think. So, Steve, are you ready?
I am ready. Let's do it.
All right, man, you're looking good. So here, let's get into it. So we'll start with the date, the when. Late summer. Actually, this one has an anomaly enigma on it. It's different than the other ones. This one actually happened supposedly 4 different times over a span of 4 years. So I'm going to give you the quick breakdown on the dates of this one. And I'm going to give you a little side note as well as we go. First incident occurred. Well, first of all, let me stop myself. If you've never heard of the Sierra Sounds incident, it currently is today, what some consider to be the most accurate Bigfoot recordings ever taken. So what I'm going to do is, with the power of my finger, is I'm actually going to put the sound in right here.
Across the creek at the big rocks. It's a hard act to follow.
He sounds like he talks to others and they talk to each other.
Yeah. Right there, just seen movement right through there.
And now we're back, like this finger over here. So that was the Sierra Sounds recordings that you heard. And before we get into it, Steve, give me your initial thoughts on that.
It sounded, being a Sasquatch researcher, I felt at home hearing it sound like my uncle, my cousins all hooting and hollering. But no, it was it was really interesting because it's like where this was done out in Sierra Nevada, that's not an area where you would hear or ever encounter any sort of primate or anything like that. And that's what it sounded like. You know, you heard this whooping, this screeching, definitely not human and not the sound of anything native to that area. So it was really interesting to hear. Yeah, it was unusual.
I'll say it was unusual too. And I'm gonna, if you've never, if this is your first time finding us, but you guys have watched this before, Steve and I have covered on this channel too. We have covered a lot of Bigfoot fiduciary. And you can go look at our body of work underneath in the EnigmaCast archives there. I've never heard that before. Now we've heard people come on and tell us stories about whoops and this, that, and the other. Some knocks. If you know me, when tree knocks, I don't think those are actual Bigfoots. But that was an aggressive type of communication that was taking place. And I also say I found it very odd. I've never heard anybody else come forward with this type of evidence before ever. Never anybody else come forward with it, right? So
exactly. We always hear people describing it and saying what they heard and trying to reenact it. But that's really the only actual recording that I've heard. And I mean, it's clear as day.
It's very clear. So look, so also on this channel, this is how we do it around here. We often disagree what it is, but we never disagree that something happened. So they recorded something. Now, again, it could be like, their buddies out there throwing malt liquor bottles out there. I don't know what, it could be something, but something happened, right?
Yeah.
But that was and we'll get into some more scientific evidence as we get into this. But that's the only type of evidence I've ever heard with that. And it's kind of freaky. It's also been nicknamed samurai chatter because of the gurdial nature. I guess I said that right. The gurdial nature of it. Steve, what's the word I'm looking for?
I think it's guttural, but
there you go.
Yeah, I could be wrong too. Who knows?
So
I'm not sure.
Somebody did their homework, right? Steve was the guy that let people copy off of. So let's get into it real quick. The dates. This happened 4 times. This over 4 years. The first one was in 1971. The second time, late summer was the date on that. The second one was supposedly June of 1972. Additional recorders. The third one recorded in October of 1972. So I guess they went twice in that same year. Mm-hmm. And this guy that we're going to talk about in a second, this is a name to remember, everybody. Al Berry. Al Berry was there, and it happened over 2 nights. And the fourth and final time this took place was 1974. And there were 2 other individuals we're going to tell you on this trip, Ron Morehead and Bill McDowell. So that was the win. So the Who involved 5 guys, right, over different times, right? One guy's name was Warren Johnson. It was known as the camp leader. We'll tell you why in a second. Lewis Johnson, Warren's little brother, Bill McDowell, Ron Morehead, and a reporter or a journalist named Alan Berry, right? And so these 5 guys were supposedly eyewitnesses and made recordings, at least on 2 occasions, of the samurai chatter that we were going with. Now, another thing that we just played for you, and we're going to dissect in a second, the whole story, actually. One of the things we like to do on this show, especially, me and Steve like to get into, we look for as much evidence as we can find without telling each other. I like to look for police reports myself. Even if no police report was filed, I like to find out who, if possible, the sheriff, if any involvement was on there. Due to the remote nature of this incident, there was no police report. And again, because there really wasn't much to report, they went looking for it. It didn't come on their property. So, Steve, did you find any POPO reports anywhere?
No, because like you said, it was from what I found, I saw specifically about the Ron Morehead and Al Berry. Mm-hmm. But they were out in this camping section, like it was like a deer hunting area. Right. But it's never really been disclosed, like the exact location, because like you said, nothing happened. It was just them reporting sound. So there was nothing to report. So
So again, I don't think this would be an area that, we'll tell you why. I don't think this would be a place that police could get to easily or would care to go there, actually. So the location was the where was a remote deer camp on the crest of the High Sierras in California. Bro, we were sleeping on California when it comes to fiduciary, man, like Mount Shasta and all those crazy stuff out there. The camp was only accessible by horseback or on foot, right? So again, I don't think the police are going to go up there because, hey, we made some crazy recordings, right? So again, no crime was committed. The exact location has never been publicly disclosed by the group. One vetted write-up places the activity 200 feet uphill behind the shelter where they think this happened. It was 200 feet up above them where it happened. Broader reporting points to the Sierra Nevada between Tahoe and Yosemite, which is like, okay, that's like saying...
Yeah, that's...
that's like, okay, right, Steve? Like, yeah, good luck, right?
Very pinpoint, right?
Yeah, narrow it down for me, dog. Hey, go to Yosemite and just keep walking towards Tahoe. I'm like, all right, yeah, cool, yeah. Right. Above the Strawberry, California, but no coordinates were ever made public. Now, when I hear that information right there, too, again, I'm usually the gullible sucker that's like, oh, I'm all in, right? This guy over here is usually like, yeah, I gotta lay my body on the counter, man, and we got it before he dies, believes into it. The recording that we just heard, it legitimately freaked me out a little bit. And when we get into the research, there's some heavy names that, got involved in this. But the fact that they won't release the location always gives me a moment of like pause, right? Because, I mean, would you agree, Steve?
Yeah. Yeah.
It just, I'll tell you the reason why. I'll tell you the reason why. First of all, this place ain't easy to get to, right? That's number one. Number two, I can't think of any other, maybe one, a lizard man story I did out of South Carolina where they didn't give you the exact, we were here. We were right here. It happened right here, right?
Yeah.
Even when you go down to Oklahoma, LaFleur County, I mean, all these places that we've looked into, they've gone into, no, it happened here. It happened here. It happened here.
You're getting at least the town and general area of where you're going.
Yeah, something. These guys, for all we know, were not even in that area. They could have been somewhere completely different. Oh, you got to be on foot or horseback to get there. And it's west of Yosemite. Okay.
Yes,
all right,
it's
man.
that way. It's over there.
Yeah, all right, man. All right, bro. Yeah, thanks a lot, man. So that gives me pause. That gives me pause about that right there, right? Even the Patterson-Gilman film, the first thing I've ever really talked about, the Bigfoot thing that we did on here, and the shorts still get people commenting on it. Even that has a generalized location on the creek bed that it happened on, right? Mm-hmm. So I also think to myself, why would you go through all the trouble? And they went through some trouble, and of course they took some heat. Why would you go through all the trouble and the heat and then not take up any other researchers to go up there, to your point? I mean, you feel me on that, right? Yeah.
It's kind of like it got bigger than they thought it was going to get, and they're like, "Oh crap!"
We don't want to go up there right yet. Yeah. So that makes me actually makes me think that way sometimes. Okay. Well, I got a girlfriend where Canada. Canada, right? It's Canadian, right? And because of that and because of what I just told you guys. We're only going to focus on, Steve, let's only dig into the 1972 and 1974 incident. I'm not really concerned. I don't want to get into the 71 or the early 72. We'll do the October 72 and the follow-up in 1974 to get into it, right? Simply because they didn't divulge the location, and the more credible stories with the more accurate recording was the second part in 72 and the later one. So you ready, Steve?
I'm ready.
All right, so let's break it down, Enigmites. Turn off your lights. Put your kids to bed, right? All right, and pay attention. All right, so what happened is these boys were hunters, right? And supposedly they had a undisclosed location somewhere in the Sierra Sounds where one of the guys here, his name was Warren Johnson, was the camp leader, where he would take people up there to hunt deer, right? I've never hunted deer in California before, but okay, sure. I'm sure it's a thing. And they went up to this remote location. And when they went up to this remote location, at night, they reported exactly hearing what you were hearing, with a few other things that took place as well on it. So the first one was first night in October of 1972. This had happened 2 times previously, June 1972 and some other late summer in 1971. So now they were going up there specifically not to hunt deer, but specifically to, record these sounds.
Investigate, what was going on.
Right. And this is not the first time, Steve, that we have seen Bigfoots get aggressive over guys killing deers. Can you remember the first time we saw that?
There's been a few times. I'm thinking of Siege of Ennobia.
Siege of Ennobia. Those brothers cranking deer off their porch, man. You know what I'm saying? Made the locals mad, right? So that right there actually gave me like, okay, that kind of gave me like, all right, that made me like, all right, believe a little bit of that. Like, okay, yeah. So yeah, because we've heard it before. They were shooting deer, taking the game, and these guys were getting upset, right?
I mean, it makes sense. I mean,
what's that?
It makes sense. They're living there. They're all of a sudden these guys are coming in and taking their food. Yeah. It's not like they can go to the store like we can.
Yeah, exactly.
They have limited options.
Exactly. So, but I'm gonna tell you this too as well. I'm gonna tell you the story, and I'm gonna tell you one of the things that made me think that this might not be true, and that's weird coming from me. But I'm gonna tell you. As we go. This
is you went down to Florida and you completely changed. I want to see where this goes.
I'm gonna tell you only because we've done so many of these stories, right? But I'll digress. I'll keep going. So they went up there this time, Enigmites, on purpose in October 1972. They were looking for these. They wanted it. They wanted an encounter, and so what they did was they went up to the first night, right? And these things did not disappoint. They started encountering the very high, strange vocalizations, right? That people call, affectionately samurai chatter, right? But this time the creatures actually encircled the camp, and they were staying just beyond the firelight in the tree line, which is not hard to do actually in the woods at night. And there was occasional rocks being chucked at their, little encampment there, I guess, Steve, right? Throughout the night. And so, Steve, this is not the first time we've heard about this. They're staying just on the edge of the light and humming rocks, right? That's not something, right? And that's common with a lot of Bigfoot stories as well. A lot of Bigfoot encounters, right? So, the next day they get up, day 2, they go out and they explore. Again, not uncommon. We hear it a lot of times. They report large humanoid footprints, right? Again, kind of strike 3 for me right here, right? So so they record. They find large humanoid footprints again on the ground, but no sign of any other hunting parties or campers or anything like that, right? Night 2, Steve, on the October 1972, darkness falls. The vocalization returns, louder, more aggressive than the first night. Barry says he starts hearing large bipedal creatures walking around the shack. I'm just call it a shack. The shack they were in, or the cabin. Large, knocks on trees. But this is where it gets a little bit interesting. He says that, and you can actually hear it in the tape. I played it several times, man. You can hear a conversation taking place. One is talking to another. One is giving almost orders. I mean, like, Steve, what did it sound like to you, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it sounded like there was orders maybe, but yeah, it was definitely direct, conversation happening. It wasn't just like random howling. Like, it wasn't like they were just trying to scare the people. Yeah. They were communicating for sure.
Yeah, and if you do any, if you ever watch any shows when chimpanzees or monkeys get exaggerated, they just holler. They scream at it. This wasn't that. Like, this was definitely. I'm struggling for the vocabulary here, but it was a communication with intent is all that keeps coming. Yeah. Like they were, like, something was going on, right? There was intent in there, right? And also too, when you deal with intent, you deal with intellect, right? So that kind of goes on. At one point, the boys said that one of the creatures imitated their voice and mocked them in their own speech patterns, which kind of freaked Barry out. Mm-hmm. And the men decided to not fire any weapons, probably smart, or leave the camp. They stayed there, right? And then this is where I get a little bit conflicting reports. Some said they left the very next morning quickly down the mountain. Some said they stayed a few more days and it just died down. But some said that they, eventually just left on their own with several hours of tape. Steve, did you come across anything that says did they flee? Were they scared?
I'm not entirely sure, to be honest.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything on that, right? So that was the first incident, Steve. Now, before we go into the second one here, normally we don't do this. Let's take a pause. Give me your thoughts on that. Right?
I mean, it's you know me. I'm very skeptical when a lot of this happens, but the recording itself, it's pretty intense, especially for back then. I mean, it's not something they had like computers to sit there and make all this and it certainly sounds like it's more than just like once you guys like knocking on something and make it like this seems, I don't know. It definitely sounds like more than just two dudes making some random noise and making it up themselves. So that I'm kind of torn on this, because it's certainly it sounds pretty legit, whatever it is. So
I agree with you on that. But here's two things. The recording is, even if it's a fake, it's impressive.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what impressive. That's what gets me, especially for 1972.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I'm saying. Like that. It's pretty. It sounds good.
It's impressive. But here's two things, right, that stuck in me when I read this. And and again, Enigmites, I'm not a downer. I'm really not a downer. Steve, am I a downer?
This is really I'm enjoying this.
I'm not a downer. I'm not a downer. But just hear me out. Okay. Where were the horses? So
True.
You said you can only get here by horseback. You get up there, you get surrounded by these things, right? And no horses bolt. Where are they at, right?
Well, even if they don't bolt, I hadn't thought about that. Even though you would think that they would be scared, and you would hear neighing, or you would hear the horse making sound. You'd hear hooves.
You don't hear it on the recording.
You don't hear anything.
You don't hear nothing. You don't hear it on the recording, right?
That's interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah. So where were the horses? That's number one, right? Again, I'll even play devil's advocate. Did you get dropped off and the guide go back down? Okay, sure. The next day you see footprints, but where's the pictures? You humped all this. You're in a place that's so remote, and I'm guessing, man, it was those big 1970, freaking big, tape things that they would go around with like a microphone. Yeah. I mean, you humped all that up there, and nobody brought a camera, and so you didn't take any pictures of that, and you didn't take any photos.
Yeah, if you're going up there specifically for proof,
right? You're
not going to bring some sort of camera for visual proof.
Like I said, you didn't take a casting or anything, but again,
exactly.
I digress, man. I digress on that. All right. So anyway, but the recording is impressive. It's impressive recording. All right. So on that trip, also they had a guy who let's get this guy's name correctly, man. They had the October 1972. Alan Berry was there. He was a journalist, and so he didn't have a camera. Hear me out, man. He didn't have a camera. He was just up there recording. Okay, so I don't want to, like I said, I'm not trying to dunk on it the whole time here, but like I said, right? So, all right. So then after that, so that's what they did, right? When they went down there, they came back on it. So then, following that, they basically waited a year. Well, and they went back and they mailed these tapes off, and we're going to get into that when they mailed the tapes off, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but in 1974, I don't know if I got the exact date on that. I want to be as accurate as possible. No, there was no date frame. In 1974, Ron Morehead and Bill McDowell, they went back, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they went. So this is the fourth trip. Alan Berry didn't go on this trip with them, right, Steve? It's correct. Have I left anything out, man? Have I missed anything here?
Nothing yet.
Okay. So they went back up there this time. And what they did is they decided to return to the same, again, undisclosed High Sierra camp in 1974. The other 2 guys didn't go with them. The 3 other ones didn't go with them. They carried small tape recorders, rifles, sidearms, standard camp gear, and again, Steve, no camera, right? Again, no camera. All right, fine. So they get up there in 1974. They arrive, same thing. They set up camp after dark. Soon after nightfall again, the samurai chatter returns. They go back to it, right? Again, so this would definitely, if this happened in the same place 4 times, by every standard of definition we've ever done here, that's a hot spot. Correct, Steve?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. 100% it's a hot spot, right? So
yep.
The voices sounded louder and more guttural, if I'm pronouncing that right, Steve, than they did in 1972, with at least 2 distinct individuals vocalizing back and forth. Now, we heard that in the tape as well. You could definitely tell that there was more than one of something was talking. It wasn't just somebody like, getting funky. More than one was talking. Again, heavy footsteps, bipedal, deliberate, pacing around the tree line, snapping of large branches suggest great strength. Again, right. This time is a little bit different. And again, we've seen this in other cases, Steve. That was night 1. It doesn't go on. They didn't say if they found any footprints after night 1, but after night 2, here came the rocks, man. Big rock barrage was going on. They were getting pelted, thrown at it. Morehead and McDowell both said they heard fast, low growls intermixed with rapid speech. Again, samurai chatter. Mm-hmm. And something shoulder slammed into the back of their cabin hard enough to shake the cabin at the foundation, right? Again, the men kept their weapons but didn't fire throughout the entire barrage. Unlike the Siege of Zenobia, where those boys,
they just shot up all night for weeks.
Up all night, headshots authorized. You want some, get some, right? I mean, that's it, man. I had Apocalypse Now playing in the background. You know what I'm saying? These boys were just playing Leonard Skinner all night long and just throwing hands with mean Bigfoots down there in Oklahoma, right? So,
oh man,
yeah. So Steve again next morning, nothing, and third night they stuck around a third night again. They heard occasional whoops, some tree knocks, but it this distanced off, and by the 4th night, it's completely. Nothing was there at the end of it. Mm-hmm. And again, I will say this. I need to stop saying this because we have literally covered stories where Bigfoots have killed people. Like I can't really say that. I can't really say that like that doesn't happen, right? But in this situation, nothing happened, right? Nothing, no fatalities, no shots, nothing, right? And after that, they left again with no other physical evidence other than recordings now. Mm-hmm. But the notable differences between the 1972 one is that it was a little bit, according to them, fewer men went, which is kind of convenient, but also that according to them, the vocalizations were louder and it was a little bit more violent. Mm-hmm. So that was basically the end of the encounters that took place, Steve. But now we can get into a little bit of the investigation or the, not investigation, but like the
analysis.
Analysis is the word I'm looking for on that. Steve, do you have anything so far? Am I doing your job for you by shooting holes in this story?
You're doing good.
Shooting holes in the story.
You got everything covered so far, but now, like you said, I got some stuff on analysis here. But yeah.
Would you go there? Would you go here?
Yeah, why not? I mean, look, this is the first episode you've had me on in a long time where someone didn't die.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So that's the thing, man. So like this is like no one got smoked in this one. There was no bodies, right? Nobody got smoked in this one.
So yeah, I could go hang out in the cabin and listen to some Bigfoots for a night.
Yeah. So yeah, and I thought to myself too, would I go to it? And I think, well, I'll tell you what might give me a moment of pause here in a second. This guy actually had a pretty good footnote on there, man. Mm-hmm. And a second, man, where I'm writing that down to tell you a second. But yeah, bro, so I'll tell you my answer in a second. So after this, Enigmites, what they did is they didn't sit on these recordings. I think it was Alan the journalist, Alan Berry. He actually sent this off to 2 different people, and these are actually 2 impressive people.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. R. Lynn Kierlin, which was a professor of electronic engineering, University of Wyoming. He was brought in to study the tapes using an oscillograph analysis machine. And later it was sent off to this cat named Scott Nelson, a retired U.S. Navy cryptolinguist who studied the recordings for linguistic patterns.
Mm-hmm.
And just when I say to myself, like, yeah, I'm pretty much going to write this off as, as a fisherman's tale, they bring in some guys with like legitimate careers, legitimate backgrounds. And again, I don't put anything to degrees. I know a lot of guys who are doctors who are just so stupid, right? Like, who have doctorates, right? And they watch this channel, right? And Steve knows me for a long time. I tell them to their face, man, I lose all, you have a master's degree. I lose all credibility, man. I lost all faith in master's degree when you got one, bro. So, but anyways, nothing wrong with degrees. You can get all the degrees you want, but that doesn't make you smart. But these guys are actually smart and fairly intelligent, right? And their findings, Steve's, I found was impressive. Did you look into them?
Yeah. I see. Yeah, there was a bunch on what Scott Nelson had, and I had a little bit on what Lynn Curlin had. But
you do Scott. I'll do Lynn.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm checking my notes here. Where did I have him?
So I'll go. Go.
I'll go Scott. Yeah, no. So like you said, Scott Nelson, he was a retired U.S. Navy cryptolinguist. He actually, what I have here was he actually tried to develop an alphabet to transcribe some of these vocalizations, repeating the sounds, and he noticed that there was a lot of structured elements to the speech, a lot of repetition, a lot of complex syntax, and potentially even like names because the way that I read that there was over 80 minutes of recording.
Yes.
Total. So there was a lot. It was a lot to go through. So let me see here. So what he came up with is he suggested that the sound, the repetition, all this, that there was a what you call a rule-bound communication system, which is something that's similar to what humans have. We're not just making noises. We have structure and rules to our grammar, which no other animals have. This was something that was totally unique. And he said the closest thing you got to human speech, which was very interesting.
Yeah. So he was talking about that there were repeated phonemes or whatever it is over there. Like, I'm not pronouncing that correctly on it.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it.
Yeah, phonemes, Phonemes, right? That only occurs in deliberate speech. Any type of form, any language that you have, any language on the planet, or any ancient or dead language as well, has structure in it, right? Has, vowels and consonants or something like that as well. I think it was when I was in the military, you used to have to, the phrase, the quick brown fox jumps over the fence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 0 times. It's supposed to hit every letter on the freaking keyboard or whatever. But it's deliberate, right? And the same thing with this is that it was a deliberate speech that he went out to. And what I found was interesting on it. What I found was interesting on it was, I don't like people who, when they don't know the answer, will fill in the gap. I trust people more who say, well, I don't know what that is, but it's definitely this. And that's what he did. He said, there's no doubt. He said, I'm quoting him now. There's no doubt in my mind that this is a language. It's not human. It is structured. I don't know what it is, but it is a language. And that's what I'm talking about. Have you ever heard anybody try to speak Sumerian? I'm a nerd, right? So I have.
Yes,
right?
yes, you are.
So Sumerian texts were supposedly the language of the Anunnaki, right? Way back in the day. So if you read this book over here, talk about the Watchers, the Fallen, the Nephilim, all this other stuff, right? Some people have actually tried to interpret or recreate the language of the Sumerian text, right? it sounds like someone put a nail in a garbage disposal. That's what it sounds like to me, right? That's what it sounds like to me, right? Like, but it's definitely so. It definitely, but it definitely is like a structure or a language. There's pattern there. There's pattern recognition in there, right? So that means to tell me. But again, I'm kind of Tolkien did that with the Lord of the Rings. He created Elvish. There are people that are creative enough, right, to create languages. I mean, like, there's three of them that jump into my mind right now, and I'm about to really show you my nerd face here. Klingon, Silmarillion, or whatever it was they were speaking in the Lord of the Rings, and Khal Drogo, Khaleesi. You know what I'm saying? Right? So yeah, man. So yeah. What was that? What was the Dothraki, right? The Dothraki language or whatever. So, yeah, man. So, guys are clever enough to do it. So that in itself wouldn't be enough for me to be like, okay. But when you add in Dr. Lynn's analysis to it, it takes it to a whole nother level of fiduciary on that, Steve. Wouldn't you agree?
Really quick. Yeah, but give me one more note, one more thing that Ron or Scott Nelson had noted too. And again, this isn't it's not proof that humans couldn't have done this, but one thing he did note was that the pitch range that you hear was well outside the average human pitch. Like when we speak, there's a general pitch tone, but these were going way high, way low within the same conversation, as well as he said some of the speed. He said the speed in which they were talking at times that they were getting syllables out was much faster than typical human speech.
Yeah.
So
again, that's if you fake that, that's impressive. If you fake that, that's impressive. Yeah, I will say that, man. Like, but yeah, that's impressive. Yeah. So anyways, but when you add Dr. Lynn's analysis into it, this is one of the things that kind of sways me back to, like, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to say one of it. It sways me back, right? Was exactly what you said. Dr. Lynn also went in there and said that the pitch frequency shifts are far outside the range of human larynx. The highs are too high, the basses are too deep. And he actually went on to say that they had what he referred to as, I wrote it down here, extended vocal power, right? The sustained loudness, I didn't even know this was a thing, extended vocal power, proved that they had an extremely large lung capacity. So whatever they were bigger than humans as well, right?
Right.
But what he got me here, man, what got me, this is probably the silver bullet in here for me, man, was that in the tapes, he said that several vocal bursts contained ultrasonic overtones. Ultrasonic. We can't do that, right? Yeah. We can't do it. Humans can't do that, which is basically over 20 kilohertz. We just, it's not improbable for us. It's impossible. We cannot create. I mean, unless you're an X-Man, we can't create that, right, Steve? Right? It can't happen, right? And he also said that there were no electronic artifacts that matched the natural harmonic structure of a living voice. So there was nothing on recording, period, right, that could match that. So definitely it was not us on there. And he also said too that the distance and the volume consistency, which I thought was very good, because I can't imagine they had great microphones up there. They probably had, something. Right. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt, man. They probably had something on there. But he says that the low frequency power on the recording remained very strong, very consistent. Now, the low frequency power is ones they weren't hearing. They couldn't hear it, right? He picked it up with his equipment, but they didn't hear it with their ear. So he said that, and again, why would you fake that? Why would I put a dog whistle in this situation? Yeah. Why would you fake that, right? So, but he also said that was also very typical for large-bodied animals, but not small or medium animals, right? So again, he unintentionally proved that whatever was doing this was not only not human, but way bigger than us, right? So. And I thought that was very interesting, man, because that right there is, again, if it was fake, very impressive. Very, very, very impressive, right? Would you agree, Steve? At least we can agree with that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the reason why I'm not just automatically writing this whole thing off. Is just this recording is very again, when you look at the context, it's 1972. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not like now I could jump on ChatGPT and say make this, and it would come. It'd be beautiful. But these are just some slums out, in the woods in 1972 with probably some clunker junk recording, tape recorder. It's impressive.
Exactly, man. Like, like some boogie nights, you know what I'm saying? Like this thing is, like I said, man, like they borrowed it from the local skating ring and they hiked it up in the mountains again. But again, how'd they power it, Steve? That's just this is my thing, man. Like how did they take a battery up there? I don't know. This is just my inquisitive mind. Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna actually give them some bullets here, man, to their story on it. Several people have tried to debunk the recording and can't. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. No one, again, now Enigmites, no one has been able to prove what it is, but they can't prove that it's a fake. That's actually pretty big. That's actually pretty big, right? Like, so again, man, like their credibility is still intact, man, as far as like, it is what it says it is, right? Or how it happened. Now, why this matters is that in today's age, right, we have a different approach to cryptozoology or unexplained things, because we have all of our cell phones have cameras on it, and and we can record stuff. We have hidden knowledge coming forward. We know more about the Sumerian tablets. We know more about the fiduciary that goes place. We know more about this type of stuff. People in British Columbia can talk to people in Florida and say, hey, look, this happened. So there's more information availability out there. But again, you will never convince some people without a body, right? So I say, right? So without visual proof, right? Without visual proof, you'll never be able to to convince somebody that something happened or what was going on, right? But I will say that like this met the standard for our shows where we talk something happened, man, and something that was not easily explainable. Something happened, right, Steve?
Yeah, it's like we keep saying, like you were just saying, there's no, we still don't know what it was, but it's not been able to be proven wrong. Like, they can't say that something didn't happen. We have the proof. There was one of the things, I don't know if it was from Lynn, but there was someone noted that analyzing the tape itself, that it was untouched. It wasn't altered in any way. Like that's what was recorded. Yeah. So something happened.
That's a good point, because also they said the tape wasn't cut. There was no splices. There was a whole. That's a really good point. There was the tapes were completely unaltered, unedited, because back in the day it was harder to edit stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah. Completely unedited, right?
Yeah. So something definitely happened, and like I was saying earlier, I mean, like, look at the location. They're in the Sierra Nevada. That's not. There's no, primates up there. There's nothing. No known animals in that region that would make that kind of. I mean, there's no known animals anywhere that makes that kind of sound.
Yeah, no. So 100%, right?
Yeah, it's very bizarre.
Yeah, and also too, man. California used to be littered with grizzly bears. I don't know if you knew this or not, man. Did you know that? I think I told you this before, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they basically, I mean, literally, I think the grizzly bear, I know the grizzly bear is on their flag, right?
Yeah.
And when they killed all the grizzly bears, like, all the liberals moved. That's a joke. I'm just joking. So anyways, like, but the grizzly bears were a problem, man. And they actually had to hunt them to extinction, right? And so once upon a time, California was a rough place, man. It was a rough place. Yeah. There were probably wolves there. Definitely mountain lions. Got to be mountain lions there, right? So
coyotes, all sorts of stuff
something,
like
right?
that.
So rattlesnakes. It's probably a rough place, man. Mount Shasta is a rough, it's not for the weak, right?
Yeah.
But again, so yeah, something strange happened, and now we're going to get into the good parts. Enigma. Steve, I'm going to let you go first for this time, Steve. You tell me, Steve. Real? Not real? What are your thoughts on this, bro?
Well, I think the recording is real.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I mean, we've been saying the whole episode, that would be hard to fake. I think that would be really hard to fake what we heard. Mm-hmm. So something definitely happened. Was it a giant pack of Bigfoots? You know me. I'm not necessarily sure that would be a thing, but I'm not going to sit here and throw this one out because this is very strange. This is finally something with proof. We've done plenty of stories of Bigfoot stories where it's word of mouth, and police reports, but there's been no real evidence. This is our first recording of something happening. So I got to give this one a little more credit than I would normally do. So I'll give it a good 25% possibility.
Those are good numbers for you, man. Those are good numbers.
For me, that's pretty good.
Those are good numbers for you. All right, here's where I'm going to shock everybody on this. Right?
Oh boy, let's hear it.
I actually think that the recording is real. I do think that's a recording is real. I don't know what they were recording. I don't know what that they were recording, but I think that recording was. There's just way too much evidence. Too many people looked at it. Wasn't edited. Wasn't spliced.
Right.
There's tones on there that the human ear can't pick up, highs and lows on it. The vocal range. It is definitely a spoken language. There, that is a communication. Language is not possible without intellect. Period. Right. Period. I mean, dolphins are incredibly smart. They have languages. Whales as well. Right. You can't have a language and not be smart. Right. I'm throwing complete BS on this being in the Sierra Sounds. I don't know where this happened, but it wasn't some remote up a mountain west of Yosemite. I don't know where it happened, but the fact that they won't release where it happened for no other reason than, we just don't want to release it. No one else has gone there to study it. Something happened, 100%. They went somewhere, but the part where they were saying they were going there by horseback and they were doing X, Y, and Z, I'm not buying that for several reasons. One, the horses didn't get spooked. They circled your camp all night, chucked rocks at you, and the horses just chilled, right? Hooting and hollering. I call BS on that. Number two. Number two, you're telling me you gotta hump in all this gear? Nah, I'm not buying that. They were somewhere, but it's not. It wasn't where they were telling everybody that they were supposed to be. But also, based on what we've known now. Somebody actually pointed this out to me, is that what if that was not Bigfoot stuff they were hearing, but some type of demons is what he told me, that maybe they were in an area that they were doing some like Bohemian Grove stuff. I don't really know. Right. But again, you hear some crazy stuff going on. What if they just recorded that and then made up the rocks and the bangs on the woods? So yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm saying the recording is completely real, but the story is complete BS. Complete BS. Right? It's just, I'm sorry. That's just my personal. And I'll argue. Huh? Yeah, I'll argue with anybody on it, only because all you did was regurgitate every vanilla Bigfoot. I get 30 Bigfoot stories every 2 months that come in here, right? And it's always, I heard a tree knock, I heard a whoop, I heard this, I heard that. We got any pictures? No. Where's it at? I don't want to tell you. It's my pappy's farm. All right, man. Cool, man. Sure. Can I get a t-shirt? No. You're not getting a t-shirt for that. I'm not getting you a t-shirt for that. No. All right, man. So yeah, that's my thing, bro. That's my thing. Something happened for sure. But there was no, I'm going to say there was no rocks. There was no whoots and hollers. There was no, none of that. I think that stuff was made up, but something happened. Cause I think they were somewhere else. I think they were somewhere else. I think that, like I said, I'm not knocking the tape. The tape is legit. The tape is something. The tape is something supernatural, paranormal is legitimate. And I'm not knocking these gentlemen here. Al Berry, Ron Morehead, Bill McDonald, Louis, and Warren Johnson. I'm not knocking you guys, right? But I've heard too many guys talk about, I had a fish that was 8 feet long and got away right when I pulled him into the boat. Yeah. So yeah, man. So, but that's just where I'm leaning on it, Steve. And that's just where my heart and my gut is taking me with it, is that it was that the tape is legitimately freaky, man. It's freaky, right? But your story, how you got it, is legitimately vanilla, bro. It is so not even creative, right? Like, so everything on that. But anyways, so for me, I'm gonna give it 100% real tape and a 0% chance that it was a big that other stuff didn't happen, bro. Didn't happen. Yeah. Now they might have heard, wherever they were at. Sure, they might have heard these things running around, heard these things doing it. Sure, but you weren't in a deer shack up in the mountains on horseback, and people were throwing rocks at you and banging on. That didn't happen to me. So, but I would like to know the rest of the story, though. I would like to know the truth of that story, right? To go on there and do it. But again, I'll even say this too, man. Like, I don't want to be that guy. The fact that I think they're lying about the location and the details doesn't make me not believe that the tape is real. I believe the tape is real. I don't know what it is. I said I don't know what it is, right? But it's definitely real. So there you go, Steve. I got that off my chest, bro. So there we go. So
that was a good one. That was a good one. Finally, you brought me something that's like, not murder and death.
Yeah, exactly. So I had those right. And I'm like, man, let me stop.
Give me a break here.
Yeah, man. So what it was is that there was two other stories that came to me. One that we're going to eventually get around doing is the Texas Dogman Triangle.
Okay.
Pretty freaky.
Sounds gruesome.
And another one, this guy was talking about another Bigfoot / creature dogman murked my daddy in the woods. So I was like, let's put that one to the side right now, man, because I want to throw Steve one where there's not a body count. Even the one time I did think the Chupacabra story, there's a body count. Right? I was like, nobody got killed in that one. Oh, yeah, one guy got died. Oh, dang, man. So the last one we did, I didn't think about the Chupacabra one, man. I didn't think anybody was gonna get murked in that. And like, all right, somebody got murked.
And then I'm like, sorry, Joe. Sorry to break it to you, but
Yeah. But anyways, Enigmites, we've come to that time again. You know how we do. Hit the subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. I would leave us your comments below if you actually think that the Sierra Sounds tape is legitimate and it happened in the location that it did happen in. And that's about all you get around here. Steve, you got anything to add?
That's it. It's good to be back.
It's good to be back, man. All right, so we're up and running in Florida. Got my studio. As you can see, I'm soundproofing the walls slowly back there, trying to kill some of that echo. If you heard any echo in this video, please let me know in the comments as well. And I'll get that fixed, and I might even send you a t-shirt. So, Steve, you got anything as we leave?
That's it, and that's all.
All right, you know how we do around here, nerds. That's all you get for $1, and we're out.
Subscribe now and turn on the notifications to join us on this extraordinary journey into the unknown.